Hi, everyone. Okay, welcome. So we'll see how that goes. So I always take a second to just try to share it into different groups, just so you guys know we are streaming into a few different places. So if somebody comments, um, yep, you could share it from the link, or you can share it directly from. Yep. So for those of you guys who might comment and we don't see your comments, it's because if we're streaming to probably like 5 or 6 different places, then we can't see all the comments from everywhere. Okay, but I like to start every live encouraging people to drop in the comments something or someone that you are thankful for, you guys, because we want to encourage living in a spirit of thankfulness. So you're joining us today at on Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern. GR Myers, who is my broker, is we're discussing just some different financial strategies, and we're going to be discussing, honestly, our focus is to help people to improve their quality of life and through real estate investing and moving from active to passive income. So I'm going to bring GR up, right? Hey, and you're going to catch us live every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern. So this is something regular that you can see us doing. Hello.
Hey,
Blessings. So, hey, GR, you want to share something you're thankful for? Since we always start every live with something we're thankful for, or someone you're.
absolutely. I am thankful for some spring weather we're having today here in Delaware. It is a
Yeah.
gorgeous day. The sky is blue and it's just pretty outside, like 70 degrees. Loving it.
Yes, actually, we lived in California for a little bit, and my husband and I are like, are people just happier here? And I think it's because the weather is nice, like 80% of the time, right?
Yeah,
Except for they don't have change of season. My husband was like, how do you feel about no change of season? Because we could ride our Harley all year long, right? But change of
right.
season, when fall came, I was like, when do the leaves turn? And he said they don't. And I'm like, oh no, I gotta have fall. That's my favorite time. So
Yeah.
anyway, hey, we're gonna get started. So there's a couple things we're gonna discuss, right? But the first thing we're gonna do is we're always gonna just bring a question to the table that somebody either that is like some I just feel like people are just like always asking in our sphere of influence, right? Either something that you're getting all the time or something that I'm getting all the time, right?
Sure.
So and it's a question that you and I actually discussed a little bit. So does your video look okay on your end?
Yeah, my video looks fine.
Okay,
I don't
so
know
it
if you.
does fade, it is fading in and out.
Okay.
So we're always going to just start with a question, right? And then we're going to discuss that question, and then we're going to move on to a topic,
Sure.
right? And the reason that we're doing this is because we want to help people really improve their quality of life and move from active to passive income, because we know that that's what does it, right? You got to get into passive income, and move from just trading time for dollars, right?
Yeah.
And so I always just kind of want to share a little bit about why we're doing this. Okay, so the question that I got was, does a short sale need to run its course, or can it be purchased subject to? And we kind of discussed that subject to is an interesting word, and one of the things we want to do is we want to bring clarity and understanding into the online space, right? For people who really, really want to invest. And then I pulled up the word, so I'm going to pull up the word. I'm like, okay, the important thing for me is when somebody asks a question is to actually know where they're starting from. So that's what becomes challenging when we're doing something like this, because unless we're bringing up the person who asked the question, we can't know really where their mind is starting from, with the experience they have, what they've read, what they've heard, right? Um, but anyway, so one of the things I did was I pulled up, here we go, this definition. A subject to mortgage is as its name suggests, a mortgage that is subject to an existing mortgage, which still, GR, for somebody new to investing, that's not even clear.
No.
Correct? So you're saying
Right.
subject to means subject to existing mortgage. And so that still causes confusion for people. And do they
Right.
even really know what they're asking when they're asking that question?
Right.
Right?
So,
So when we discussed this, your comments were, yeah.
I mean, my understanding of subject to is on any property, you could have more than one lien. You can have more than one mortgage, right? So you have your first mortgage, and a lot of places have a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, or a second mortgage, right, which is second lien. And I've seen places that have a third lien against them, right? So there's no limit to how many you could have. It's just depending on how risky the lenders want to be. So when people ask me that question, like you said, it would be good to know where they're coming from. But at the end of the day, the bank just wants their money. They just want the loan paid. So when somebody says, can you buy a short sale subject to, if you were in a position to give the bank all the back mortgage payments and all the penalties and all the interest and bring the mortgage current, that would stop the foreclosure process. So if there's a short sale, that's the predecessor to a foreclosure.
Right. So let me read the question again, right? So the question was, does a short sale need to run its course or can it be purchased subject to? So I'm thinking when somebody's asking that question, then they're meaning a short sale run its course, right? And which I think a lot of people don't even know what a short sale is and the difference between a short sale and bank owned, which is something that also needs to be defined, right? So like a short sale, I've actually been able to close on a couple of really good short sale deals, right? And the reason that I went under contract with those and chose those was because there was already an approved number from the bank. So because I knew there was an approved number from the bank, I knew we could close in 60 days. So my short sales all closed in 60 days, right? So a lot of people don't even know that when somebody's listing something as short sale, what does that exactly mean? But when we were discussing subject to, right? So the question is, does a short sale need to run its course? So to me, there's the thing too, like run what course? Get the bank approved number? Or we were talking about, are they talking about assuming the loan? So this person who might be young and new to investing and they're hearing all these different things, do they mean that subject to is, can I assume the loan? So we were talking about, if that's what they really mean about assuming the loan. What did you share your thoughts were on that?
So when you talk about assuming the loan, if you're gonna assume the loan the legal way, first of all, the loan has to be assumable, like a VA loan. And there are some other conventional loan stuff that are assumable, which means you literally are taking their name off and you're putting your name on with the exact same interest rate, same payments, same time frame, everything, right? That would be the legal way to assume a loan, and you'd need an attorney to help you get all that right and get it recorded properly at the county or state, wherever you do that. If you're talking about assuming a loan where you're just going to make the payments for them, then you can do that, but you sure are putting yourself at a little bit of risk because in doing that, the deed's not going to transfer to your name. So it'd have to be a high level of trust. Yeah, the trust would have to be there. I've done it with my mother-in-law's best friend and some other people who I've known for many, many years, and we had a very high level of trust, almost like family. Not quite, but almost. And it's worked out very well, where I just started making the payments for them, maybe gave them a little bit of money. They needed some cash at the time, gave them some cash as a down payment, started taking over the payments, paid on it for a while until I got myself to a position where I could go get my own financing and purchase the property, legally purchase the property. You got to remember on the purchase, there's going to be transfer taxes though, right? So,
so I want to touch on that a little bit, if I could interject. So when somebody does that though, one of the things that they have to be aware of is, because there's that thing, hey, can we just write up a contract between you and me, and I'm going to take over your payments? Because usually when you're talking subject to, the owner is in a distressed situation. So they're trying to relieve their distress. But what you don't know when you're writing up a contract with somebody that you don't know how trustworthy they are, because you don't know them at the level for the examples you were sharing, right? What you don't have is clear title. You don't know whether you have clear title or not.
Correct.
Just because so what a lot of people don't know is if you're going to create a note and you're going to sign an agreement with someone and you're going to take over their payments, right? And you don't transfer the deed until the loan is paid off, that person also is still in a position where they can still get loans against the house.
That's right.
Right?
So it does require a high level of trust and to iron out all those details of, they're basically promising not to get any additional loans on the property and things like that. and not to sell it out from underneath of you. I mean, you'd have something in writing saying that they wouldn't, but
like you said, who really wants to go there? Let's
right.
say you do, and then you have to fight for all of that, and you got to make sure your documentation is all lined up, proving that you were the one who made the payments. You've got these documentations, and is that really? So here's okay. So you always say, I work at a level of what's that thing that you say? Because I always say, actually, GR, I'm allergic to stress, but you say, what is it?
I function very well at the red line. So if you're a car person, and the engine's getting to the red line, you're about ready to blow the engine up. So I function very well right around the red line. So there's not a lot of cushion for me, but that's just how I've always done it. So I'm not saying it's great for everybody. I'm just saying for me personally, I kind of run 100% most of the time.
Yeah. So, and I say the reason it's good for us to do this and have these conversations with people is because I'm allergic to stress. So we have different ideas on different things, and it gives people a different perspective.
Sure.
So that they can, and what we do is we share general questions and general answers, but they need to know specifically, what is it that I want to accomplish? And like I say, with my investors, the target goal is, let's get you to $100,000 a year passive income. Is every action step we're taking going to get you here? Let's move from active to passive. So we're going to go ahead and lay that question down. And okay, so what was it? So we wanted to discuss something today. You want to start with that?
Sure.
And so this will be a fun discussion that we're actually going to have for the first time live. Right. We actually haven't had this discussion, right?
That's true. So one of my favorite topics is discussing a store of value for your hard-earned, efforts, and also fiat currency and how those things interact, and it leads directly to investing, right? So I love talking about investing in general, but the little topic that we kind of talked about here that we were going to go over today was about fiat currency versus assets and things that can store value. And what I was going to share is, if I held this coin up here where you guys can see it, most people can see that that's a 50-cent piece. Mm-hmm. That's actually 1974. That's actually the year I was born. Right. Kind of ironic. But this 50-cent piece in our fiat currency today is, most people would say, is worth 50 cents. Mm-hmm. But this piece of metal has what's called a melt value. Mm-hmm. And the melt value, because this is made out of copper and nickel, is about 11 cents. Mm-hmm. So our government gives us what we call money, which is actually just currency. And they say it's worth 50 cents, but it's actually worth 11 cents, right? But we trade it around amongst each other
for 50 cents. Mm-hmm.
This here is a 50-cent piece from 1942. It's called a Walking Liberty. I don't know how clear you can see it. It's a beautiful coin. Mm-hmm. But in 1942, this coin was made out of a different material. You want to take a guess what it was made out of?
Well, since I've never studied coins, I really don't have a clue.
It's made out of silver. It's a silver coin. Okay. It's 90% silver. And this also is a 50-cent piece, but it has what's called a melt value, because the metal that this coin is made from actually is very valuable. Used in electronics, and a lot of different industries need silver. It's a great conductor, and all your cell phones, all your TVs, they all have some silver in them. So the melt value for this 50-cent piece is actually $8.60. So these look very similar here. Mm-hmm. This was worth 11 cents. This one's worth $8.60. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's the difference between today's currency versus yesterday, meaning pre-1965 actual money. So it's interesting because when you earn money, a lot of people put it in their savings account or in their bank, which is great. Right. But you can't keep it there long term. Mm-hmm. You've got to find a better store of value than dollars in a bank. Right. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of different options to store your value. And some of those are obviously real estate, which we love to talk about. But there's also precious metals. Right. There's also businesses that you can invest in.
Mhm.
Obviously, a lot of people have money invested in the stock market, whether it's through a 403b or a 401k, or whether they just trade their own stocks with a brokerage. There's a lot of people that have looked into Bitcoin and those kind of things. And there's also people who invest in fine art and things like that. So when I talk to people about investing, I say you got to find something that you're passionate about, something that you
Yeah.
like, something that you enjoy. And then I would focus on investing in that category or in those categories. So I have an interest in many different categories, right? So I look at lots of different options. Pretty much the only one I don't have an interest in is fine art, because it has to be stored somewhere and it has to be insured and that kind of thing. But I was just watching a show the other day where there's a fund out there where you can buy into the fund, and they hold all the fine art and they display it at museums and stuff, and you become an owner of a portfolio of fine art. So there's all kinds of options out there. But my point to this whole conversation is you can't just keep all your wealth in cash in a bank. It's just
Right.
because it's shrinking every day with inflation. And we just had the banks fail out in California, right? Now the government jumped in and kind of saved some of them, but potentially the government doesn't have to insure over $250,000 per account, right? And there were people who had a couple $1 million in their accounts, So I think you have to look for a better place to store value than just
Okay.
in a currency.
So I'm going to touch on that because that brings the question, how much does somebody actually keep in the bank? Because here, see, when we're talking about these terminologies with finances and understanding the language, right? Sometimes you'll hear people say, oh, you can buy property with no money down, or you don't need to save money, right? But then they want you to take your money and invest with them, right? And so that's what I see that happens in the online space. So in order for you to take money to invest with someone, you first had to grow that money. So like one of the steps in my getting on track in your personal finances, one is to grow your bank account, right? But the reason that we share that is to grow your bank account for the purpose of knowing that you can start learning how to distribute your funds purposefully, which means sometimes you're growing your bank account so that you can put it towards investments. So it's a good idea to know you have purposeful spending categories. And so maybe I'm growing my bank account so I can put it in investment. What I mean by that is someone who wants to buy an investment property first needs to save money in order to put down 20% to buy their first rental. So I just want to make sure when you're talking about not having money in the bank, and when you hear these people online talking about that, we're talking about large amounts of money,
Right.
right? And so it's real important that people decide specifically what's the savings amount that I need to have, right, in order to, if there was an emergency.
Right.
Like there was something that just happened during COVID, GR, which we talked about, you said was really unfair to a certain group of people. And I don't know if it was just in Delaware, which was where people really believed that they didn't have to pay their rent. Right. And so now if you have a certain amount of investments and you don't have a certain dollar amount in the bank, you're still having to cover the mortgage. You don't have you're putting yourself in a position. So really the question is, people have to ask themselves is, how much do I keep in the bank for an emergency fund and to keep peace of mind for myself, right? And
Right.
how much, and then how much am I taking to invest? Which these things we will talk about during our Tuesday session, right? Like tonight is our first Tuesday session, right? So tonight's our first Tuesday session. And one of the things, so really when we're talking about investing, I think there's a couple key things to invest in. You want to invest in assets. You want to invest in yourself, right? You want to invest in people. So we want to invest in our community. So those are different topics right now, but your first week, you're talking about personal development, which means people have to invest in themselves.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
And then with the subject that you're talking about, people can, maybe we talk about investing in real estate, but they can put their money in other things besides just real estate. They can put, that's the subject that you're talking about. So how much would you say So this is again is specific in general. How much would
Yeah.
you say someone was an investor, right?
Uh-huh.
That they should keep, because one of the things I talk about with my investors, because you know, I incorporate financial coaching with investing, and then also being a property manager, I have a different take on that side also, right? So I get to
Yep.
see, I get to interact both with the landlord and the tenant, you know, and we really want to just educate everyone in general, right? Landlords,
Yep.
tenants, you know, so but if someone was even like a brand new investor,
Mhm.
they might maybe stay away from stress more than staying on the red line if they
Mhm.
were a more experienced investor, right?
Right.
So in the beginning, as a brand new investor, I like to recommend you grow your bank account so you're accustomed to doing that. But once you get comfortable, now you've got funds that you can take to buy your second property,
Right.
right? So, so how much would you say if somebody was a brand new investor, they should have as a cushion, just
I
in
mean,
general? What are your
in
thoughts
general,
on
a rule of thumb is 6 months of living expenses.
that?
That's what I've always heard. I'm pretty comfortable with somewhere between 6 months to a year of living expenses. Now, with that being said, since you brought up the pandemic, and then I had some tenants who just opted not to pay the rent because they couldn't be evicted because the legal system just said, yeah, we're not going to do our job. Um, in that scenario, I wasn't prepared for that kind of a government violation of justice, is what I'm going to
Yes.
call it.
Okay.
Okay. Because I just watched last night a gentleman saying that when you take $1 from Peter and you give it to Paul, you just robbed both of them, in
Yeah.
that you robbed Peter of his dollar that he worked for, and you robbed Paul of the opportunity to go out and earn and have respect. And, we live in a society where there's opportunities all over. There's literally millions of jobs.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Because you know,
And when the government does that, they're robbing not just the person they took the money from, but they're robbing
yes,
the person who should be out figuring out a way to make their life successful. And
yes. And so, what would you say would have been something? Would you have said that more money in the bank would have been better in that situation,
yeah,
right?
100%. Yeah, I wish I would have had a little more cash reserve, because it would have certainly made that weather in that storm a little easier. I mean, I'll just be honest with you. Once it was all said and done, I kind of got through it. And then to kind of get back to a point where I did have some cash reserve, I did end up selling one of my rental properties. I picked
Right.
out I
Which is
picked out
okay.
the one I picked out
Right.
the one I liked the least, that
Right.
was the most headache and needed some work. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and unload that one. I had lots of equity in it and kind of got myself back to a spot where I felt comfortable again. But,
And and we're not doing this to scare people off from investing, because we want to
right,
encourage people to invest. We just want them to position themselves with
right,
wisdom so that they can be successful in investing.
right,
We want to bring clarity and understanding, right? And so
right.
and let people know like really what's going on out there, right?
Right. And
So
just for clarity, I had 37 properties. I still have
yeah,
36 of them. So you don't
right,
need to feel bad for me. I'm doing
right,
fine.
right.
But if I had had more cash reserve, um, and then I could have sold off other investments, right? Like I said, so I said I own some Bitcoin, I own some precious metals, I own some money, I have some money in the stock market. I could have liquidated some of that, but I didn't want to. That's kind of my reserve fund, in
Right.
case
But
of
that's
a
why
rainy day. So I opted to sell off a rental that was my least favorite.
And that's why I'm saying when people hear it's not good to have money in the bank, they got to be careful when they hear about that, because they're not. I think that when people say that, they have a level, they have 6 months to a year in the
Yes.
bank.
Yes.
Okay. And then what I tell my investors is, and I really can't wait because tonight, like in front of people, I'm going to share the strategies that I share on helping my investors. Like I'm target focused when I'm working with an investor. Here's the goal: get you to $100,000 a year passive income. So
Right.
every decision we make is filtered through that, right? Which
Yep.
doesn't mean that you don't do a flip here and there, but at the end of the day, passive income is the goal. And so it's important when people say that it's not good to have money in the bank, that those people are not saying $0. They're not
Right.
talking about that. They're talking about when you get to a certain level, you want to get to a certain level in the bank, and then you want to get to a higher level and take that money and use it to make more money,
Right.
right? And so each household has to define what that means for them. But we can only do so much in this 30-minute talk. We're going to go into more detail in person. And that's tonight. So I'm excited because that's our first one. And every realtor, investor, business owner, contractor, you guys can share this out because we want people to come out, right? And that's going to be, can you believe our 30 minutes is up?
No, it went fast.
Yeah,
Hey,
it does go fast. It does
is there
go
a way for me to put the address in the comments for
So
tonight?
you can, and we can, yeah, you can do it after we get off the live, right?
Okay.
But here's what I have found, GR. And I actually learned this from my investors. When somebody wants something, right? What we're doing is we're sharing information with people. If somebody really wants to find us, they're going to find us, right? I'm getting ready to start. I'm going to do an investment group, and you're going to share tonight at the end. They're going to share an opportunity to join an investment group, right? But I'm creating an investment group with 25 people. I have a woman who has messaged me on Facebook, commented on multiple posts, sent me a private message, and is asking, when am I going to get my 10 minutes to talk to you? So if we're trying to reach the person who really wants to move from active to passive income, improve their quality of life, you can find the link on our page. Like, you can find it everywhere. Like, we've got it posted everywhere, right? So if somebody watches this live, they can find it everywhere. But yes, you can comment it after, in each one with the address. But it's Myers Realty, 1056 South State Street, Dover, Delaware. We want you there. Like, we want your family financially healthy and strong, right? Like, if real estate investing, growing your bank account, improving your quality of life is speaking to you, we want you there, right? Sorry. Don't mean to get so excited. It's just that I'm excited for the people who are going to take this journey with us. It's exciting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting. So, okay, you want to say any closing words before I say, 30 minutes were
No, it's been fun, and I hope to meet some of the folks in person tonight if possible. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing everybody else next Tuesday.
Okay. All right. Thank you, GR. I appreciate you. You're awesome.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, everyone. Okay, so I hope that you enjoyed that. We just blocking out 30 minutes because we want to bring clarity into the online space. For those who are local, we want you to know that Tuesday is in person. It is available for you. For those of you who are online, I do some Zoom sessions, a Zoom session once a month that's free to anybody who is in the interested and in the financial coaching. I think I call it financial coaching and real estate investing group. So you can find that group, also. So I want to end this live, you guys. I want to end this live just reminding you. Today, GR talked about how you want to take money to invest it, but it doesn't matter. What's that thing that you love, right? What you really find if you live long enough that you can make money and you can invest money in something that you really, really love to do. So keep growing your bank account, keep educating yourself. If this is really something you want to do, don't get frustrated because there's a lot of confusing information out there. Make up your mind that you're going to learn what you need to learn, right? Well, you're going to figure out what your next step is, and just keep pressing forward to the mark based on where you're starting. No, really, for me, I talk a lot about getting to $100,000 a year passive income. I think it's important to do that, to improve your quality of life. And I think that more people are doing it than people realize, and so that it is doable for you. So I want you to know that it's doable for you. And so I always want to end every live just reminding you that thing that God has placed on your heart and mind to do, maybe you're meant to be the one, right? You want to create something in your home or in your community. You want to improve your quality of life. There's a need that you see that you're passionate about. If God is placing it on your heart and mind, there's a possibility that you're meant to be the one to do it. So you're going to have to figure out what steps you have to take to create that thing, right? And we encourage you to move away from your patterns of destruction and move towards patterns of health, strength, peace, joy, and clarity. We want you to wake up just excited about your life. Hey, what do I get to do today? Who do I get to bless today? And that's available for you. It's really reachable for the person who really desires to create it. So you guys, as always, from my heart to yours, may God bless your efforts to be physically and financially healthy and strong. Okay, you guys. See you next Tuesday.